Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for coming out in this rainy weather. We appreciate, I will just talk loud.
It's not our day.
It's not our day. I will just talk loud. We really appreciate seeing so many faces here today. It's wonderful to see so many students, community members, elected officials, and city staff, including representatives from the police department, gathered together to commemorate the Transgender Day of Remembrance. My name is Jess and I am the LGBTQ Liaison for the City of Somerville. Our ceremony today and the raising of the transgender flag marks the 20th anniversary of the Transgender Day of Remembrance, a day meant to honor and memorialize those we have lost due to anti-transgender violence. Here in Somerville, we believe that no one should be subjected to violence simply because of their gender identity or expression. No one should be denied the basic rights that enable their safety and security, and no one should consider taking their own life to escape harassment and bullying. In Somerville, everyone is welcome. At this time, I would like to invite Mayor Joseph Curtatone to the podium. You can try this if you want. Okay. It's turned off, so you can try.
We'll go without it. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah. I want to introduce my colleague from the Board of Aldermen from Ward 2, Mr. J.T. Scott. Again, as Jess mentioned, we want to thank you all for joining us to honor Transgender Day of Remembrance. Again, I want to especially thank Jess Alter and the city's LGBTQ liaison, Ms. Sarah Eustis, the advisor to Somerville High School's Gender and Sexuality Awareness Alliance, and students from the GSAA for organizing this ceremony, but more importantly, we'd like to thank you for your leadership. It's really encouraging to see so many students here today and know that you're working to create safe, inclusive spaces for transgender students and every student. Trans activist Gwendolyn Ann Smith founded Transgender Day of Remembrance in 1999 to honor Rita Hester, a trans woman of color who was murdered in Alston the year before. Sadly, nearly 30 years later, it remains vitally important to remember those who have been killed by transphobic violence and raise awareness of the violence and discrimination many transgender people still face today. More than one in four trans people has been the victim of anti-transgender assault. And those numbers increase from trans women to trans people of color. Along with being at a higher risk of homicide and violence, many trans people also face discrimination in workplaces, in their communities, and in access to basic public accommodations. These are just grim facts, but there are also some beacons of hope. A few weeks ago, as you may very well know, Massachusetts residents voted to uphold the basic rights of transgender people by voting yes on ballot question 3, and Somerville certainly led the way on that. I want to thank you all for your advocacy and work on getting that passed. And much of the conversation around question 3, as you know, focused on bathrooms, and while, yeah, Massachusetts state law allows transgender individuals to use the restroom that matches their gender, the law also protects access to basic facets of everyday life that many of us really take for granted. Being able to shop in the stores we want to, going out to eat at our favorite restaurants, or enjoying a movie, a concert, a sporting event at our favorite venues. So while we celebrate the passage of question 3, I think we need to recognize there's still a whole lot more we need to do and fight for. The fact that basic rights of our trans neighbors were up for a vote really drives that point home. In this city, we're taking a look at our policies and language used on our forms and documents to make sure it is inclusive to transgender people. Will also keep supporting staff like Jess and Sarah and all the work that you do to provide support and resources to Somerville's LGBTQ community. Admittedly, we're really playing a bit of catch-up and still learning as we go along, but I think I speak for many when I say my hope is that Somerville is and will remain the city where trans people feel safe and accepted, and really a beacon of inclusivity. I thank you again for coming out here today, for organizing this event, and once again for all your leadership. This time I want to ask my colleague from Ward 2, JT Scott, to say a few words. Thanks. Thank you.
Hi, I want to thank you all for being here. I don't have any prepared remarks, but Transgender Day of Awareness, Day of Remembrance has been a solemn occasion in my life for longer than I'd like to. Sorry. Trans people in this Commonwealth, in this state, in this town, have more protections than ever. And it's so vitally important that we all spoke together to affirm it, not just with our votes, but with your effort, with your advocacy, with your passion. Thank you for going out and knocking on all those doors. Thank you for standing up for the people that are your teachers, your fellow students in your classroom, your coworkers, your family. Because this is about our families. I am so proud, so honored, and so grateful to live here in Somerville, to have a government that is trying to do better, that is striving to keep this a place that's safe for all of us. And I am hopeful, because I know that not all of you that graduate from Somerville High School are going to stay here. I hope you can afford to stay here. But I know that wherever you go in the world, you're going to take with you a piece of this passion, this defiance that says any act of aggression, any act of violence, from the snide comment, the sidelong glance, the denial of service, to yes, even the murder of the people that we love. None of it is acceptable, none of it will stand, and we will all continue to fight until it doesn't happen to another one of us. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Curtatone. Thank you, Alderman Scott. At this time, I'd like to ask Sarah Eustis, the advisor for the GSAA at Somerville High, to say a few words.
So this contrasts for me pretty strongly with the day that we have in the spring, where we come together at a moment of remembrance, but also pride and celebration. Today is a solemn day, and I would like to ask us all to engage in a moment of silence. If we want to do our part in ending this violence, we must confront transphobia wherever and whenever we see it or hear it. Transgender is a real identity that deserves equal respect and equal protection. And these acts of violence, historic and present, they are not just attack on people who are trans, they're not just attack on trans women of color, they're an attack on anybody who dares to identify themselves outside of this binary that is enforced on us all. This month, Massachusetts became the first state to pass a ballot initiative protecting trans rights. Institutions can change, trends can be reversed, and it starts here on our local level, and it starts here in our schools. So thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Sarah. At this time, I'd like to welcome student representative from Somerville High School, Isabella Milanowski, to say a few words. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Isabella and I go by they them pronouns. Trans Remembrance Day is a day where we remember those individuals who lost their lives due to violence caused by anti-trans sentiments. But direct violence is not the only violence these individuals and so many others faced. On this day, we remember the thousands of trans people who died due to HIV/AIDS due to the violent stigmatism and deadly inaction by governments all around the world. On this day, we remember those who were taken from us not only by attackers, but by those who promoted hate, by those who were purposefully ignorant to hate, by every person whose inaction allowed these sentiments to grow and fester. Inaction is acceptance, and that's why inaction and a clear conscience are no longer an option, because every step we don't take towards progress makes the end further away. Honor those individuals who have lost their lives by fighting alongside us on this road to acceptance. No longer can we allow ourselves to be complacent.
Thank you, Isabella, for your remarks. Again, I would like to thank everybody for taking the time to come to this event today. Clearly, it is so important. We appreciate your dedication to sticking with us through the rain in order to show your support for the transgender community. At this time, we would like to invite the members of the GSAA and all of the students and everybody here to join the mayor in the raising of the transgender flag.
Anyone who wants to raise the flag?
Come on.
You guys do it.
You're just going clockwise.
Oh, yes.
Clockwise.
Which one is that? Ready?
Okay. Well, you guys all crank it. Go ahead.
Ready, set, go.
We from experience.
Oh, good. Act. Oh, no.
All right, this is by design. Go ahead.
There she goes.
Amazing how much more coming down here.
Oh, if we can try it. Hold on.
I can carry that guy. That's a fun side effect I didn't expect. Yeah, it's much more than I anticipated.
Oh, nice to see you. How you doing? Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, we're doing